Good Monday morning, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm. All right. Over the weekend, some buzz started to build about a potential blockbuster winter storm next weekend. We're talking 5-6 days from now. And, I posted on social media a couple of times yesterday, if you're using the Weather Channel app or any other convenient national app on your smartphone, be very, very cautious, because any app that tells you snow accumulations 5, 6, 7 days out from a storm is not doing you a service. It's doing you a tremendous disservice. Just a little bit of background on how those apps work. They're largely automated, and they are largely based on a blend of computer models. Well, these computer models these days update up to 4 times a day. And so chances are, if you checked your Weather Channel app or any other of the national apps, chances are there's going to be some changes to the forecast for a storm that's 6 days away 4 times within a calendar day, because it all is just based on the whims of computer models. What these apps should do is just be able to say, hey, keeping an eye on the potential for a winter storm, check back for updates or something like that. But no, it prints out there'll be 5 to 8 inches of snow, followed by 1 to 2 inches of snow at night, followed by 3 to 5 inches of snow the next day, and it gets everybody in a tizzy. You just got to be real careful with those apps. Storm Tracker 21 app is human generated. Everything that is in that forecast has been manually typed in by our staff, including myself, and we're never, ever, under any circumstances, going to put in snow accumulations for a storm that's almost a week away. The science is not good enough for us to do that. Now, let me tell you what we do know and what we don't know here on Monday morning about our weekend storm. Here's what we do know. There's going to be a storm. There's going to be a winter storm that tracks across parts of the eastern U.S. We're pretty confident of the timing of this storm. It's going to be over the weekend. So we're talking Saturday into Saturday night into Sunday. That's the extent of what we know. Here's what I think is likely as far as impacts go. I think there will be impacts here locally. I think there's a pretty good chance that this is enough to shovel and plow and cause travel disruptions at some point over the course of the weekend. The exact timing, I don't know that yet. But will it be impactful? Will it impact people's travels across the region? Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. Wouldn't say it's 100% likely at this point, but it's pretty likely. Here's what we don't know. We do not know snowfall totals. How big of a storm this is going to be, whether it's kind of a nuisance like we just had over the weekend, a few inches, or if it's a much bigger deal. We don't know that yet. We're not going to know that for a couple of days at least. You're not going to see us talking about specific snowfall totals until at least probably Wednesday, if not Thursday. You start talking specific snow totals too far out, and then the forecast ends up changing 5 or 6 times. People get confused. People don't like the changes. The credibility of your forecast goes down when you change it all the time. And so putting in snowfall totals 6-7 days out is not something you're going to see us do. If you want to use a national app that provides that service, hey, go for it. That's fine. But just keep in mind that it's doing you more of a disservice than a service when it comes to impactful major weather events. If it's a sunny day and you need to check that app for the temperature, for a quick look at the forecast when the weather's pretty benign and non-impactful, hey, that's perfectly fine. But when the weather is going to be high impact or potentially high impact, you want to stick with local forecasters who are really looking in depth at our area and not a national app that's largely automated. Now that I've gotten off my soapbox, first things first, it's really cold this morning. It's the coldest morning easily of the season so far. We haven't even been in the middle and upper teens at the Youngstown Ward Airport yet this season. This morning we dropped down into the lower teens, even some single digits in some spots. All right, now let's talk about the weekend system. All right, this is a colorful map, lots of lines and colors on it. What I want to draw your attention to is one of the reasons why this forecast is long is we're far away from being able to set things in stone. The system that's going to produce this winter storm in the eastern U.S. this weekend is, let me draw this. This is it right here. It's in the Gulf of Alaska right now. It's a long way away. It still has a lot of ocean to travel through, and then still has to cross the entire country. When systems are out over the ocean, our ability to obtain observations from that system are limited because it's over the ocean and not over land. Now we have satellite data that can help feed the computer models information, but the models are especially helped out when systems get over a network of surface observations, a network of upper air balloons across the U.S. We send up weather balloons twice a day at many offices, and those balloons sample the atmosphere as they go up, and that information is fed into the computer models. That's really helpful, but that's not going to happen until this thing moves over the mainland U.S. Let me roll this forward and show you when that's going to happen. Here's we have one storm off the coast of California. One is off the southern coast of Alaska or out towards the Aleutians. They kind of merge. This thing, this little green blob merges with the bigger green blob, basically becomes a purple blob, a much stronger storm, and then finally it comes into the Pacific Northwest Thursday morning. We're still 3 days away from this thing moving over the mainland U.S. and us having better data fed into the models. And then it comes across, and then here's our winter storm. Again, we're not looking at a traditional weather map here. This is an upper level map, but it's better for me to illustrate where the storm is now. But this is where it will be as we go into the upcoming weekend. All right, so we're a few days away from this thing being over land and having the best information fed into the models. Now, some good information is still fed into the models, as I said, by satellites here in the modern era. And so we know there's going to be a storm somewhere, but the details are everything when it comes to winter storms. And here's just a real quick look at the difference between the current run of the GFS model and the current run of the European model, kind of our two main medium range models. And this is just one run apiece. These things are run multiple times a day, but I'll show you the most recent run. If you're hoping for a blockbuster snowstorm, the European is your model right now. It's your model of choice. It has a very significant winter storm across the area, mostly later Saturday into Saturday night, Sunday morning. Although it also, if this track were to be exactly right, which is unlikely, but if this track were to be exactly right, this would still be a forecasting challenge for some of our region, because you notice these pinks and purples are getting close. So this track might produce some mixed precipitation for a time. If some locations get into a sleet zone or a freezing rain zone or something like that, that's going to cut down on snow totals. The details of the exact track are everything. We're not going to know this for a few days. If this were to stay all snow and the European model has the track and intensity right, it's going to be a big winter storm. That's the European. The GFS current run is much more la-di-da. It just has kind of a wave of low pressure moving so far to the south, down towards Atlanta is where this thing is centered, the center of the storm. It has it so far south and weak enough that it just, it snows Saturday night, Sunday morning, but then it moves out to sea. And this would be more of something in the nuisance category for us. That's just two models, just one run of each. It's a very small sample. We look at a lot more data than that, and we're going to be poring over data many times a day this week. I'm not going to get much sleep this week. That's fine. This is what we live for. So what I want you to take away from this video is a lot of what I said at the top is be very cautious using national weather apps that are largely automated, that give you a specific snow forecast 6 and 7 days out. These specific snow forecasts started coming out yesterday for a storm that might not impact us until next Saturday night. You just have to be very careful with those. I would put much more stock in local forecasters. Sometimes we're going to get forecasts wrong. That doesn't mean you shouldn't rely on us. There's not a weather forecaster in the world who is 100% accurate. But we do a pretty good job most of the time. We have a good experienced staff. I've been doing this for over 17 years. And so while I'm going to have my good days and bad, of course, I like to think I have many more good days than bad days. So be sure you're checking in often this week on the forecast. Again, don't expect us to start talking about specific snow accumulations for a couple or a few days, but we're going to give you the trends in the data that we're seeing and we're going to immediately today start talking about potential impacts so you can plan accordingly as we go towards the weekend. All right, long video. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you have a great Monday. In the meantime, weather looks pretty benign this week. If you're hoping for a little snow in the middle of the week, it's not looking so great. It's more like rain, it looks like, for later Thursday into Thursday night. So that little precursor system before the weekend is looking less and less like a thing of importance at all. It looks like just kind of a cold rain. But I'll have more updates on that, of course, throughout the next couple of days. Have a good one, everyone.